see you guys in the dark.
This happened almost 4 years ago in the early hours of New Year's Day. For reference, I was 17 at the time, and in my senior year of high school. I'm a male, and I'm about 5'10", weighed about 160 pounds at the time. I lived in the suburbs, and I was at a New Year's party being held by my friend at his house, which was a 20-minute walk away from my house. It was about 1 in the morning, and I was about to leave with another friend of mine who lived on the same block as me. My friend who was hosting the party asked if we would like a ride home, and in hindsight, we probably should have accepted his offer. But our neighborhood was pretty safe, and we figured that with the two of us walking together, no one would bother us. Plus, there were probably other people at the party who needed a ride home more than we did. We said our goodbyes to everyone and began to walk home. The road was predictably empty with no one but us walking along the sidewalk, and maybe the occasional car passing by us. It was pretty well lit, though, so we weren't walking in complete darkness. My friend wanted to pick up a pack of cigarettes on the way home, so we stopped off at a gas station along the way. When we got to the gas station, it was nearly empty, with only a woman at a pump filling her car up with gas. And a guy posted up in front of the store on his phone. We went inside, and my friend picked up a pack of cigarettes. We walked out of the store. My friend immediately lights the cigarette. We reach the sidewalk, and we hear someone behind us yell, "Hey, wait!" We looked behind us to see the guy who was in front of the store, quickly walking towards us. He looked to be in his early to mid-20s. He was probably about 5'8", maybe 140 pounds from the looks of him. He approached us and asked if he could get a light. My friend and I didn't think much of it, and he lit the guy's cigarette. The guy thanked him, and my friend said that you're welcome. We began walking home when the guy continued to follow us, asking where we were going. We told him we were heading home, and asked him where he was going. He said his friends were at a party, and he was heading back over there as he left to get some fresh air for a little bit. He asked us if we wanted to come to the party. This is officially the point where red flags start going off with this guy. Why the hell would a guy in his 20s ask two teenage boys if they wanted to go to a party with him? We told him bluntly that we didn't even know who he was, nor did we know anyone at the party he was talking about, so we weren't going. He starts laughing and says that we seem pretty cool. He told us that we needed to let loose a little bit. My friend and I told him that we were 18 and 17, respectively, to see if maybe that would get him to leave us alone. He chuckled and said that age didn't matter to him, and that he had a brother who was 16, and that he partied with him and his friends all the time. Jesus Christ, can this guy not take a hint? We were just a little less than 10 minutes away from our houses, and we didn't want this creep following us all the way there. I told him firmly, "Dude, we're not going anywhere with you. Now quit following us and just fuck off." He gets livid and starts screaming at us for being unfriendly, inconsiderate assholes, and that he was just trying to be nice. He then starts throwing racial slurs at my friend. It's probably worth mentioning by now that I'm white and my friend is black. My friend yells at him to get away from him before he cracks him in the face, and the guy proceeds to run away from us. My friend and I look at each other in complete disgust over what happened and spent the next 5 minutes walking and talking about that creepy guy. We both agreed that he was probably drunk or high from the New Year's party. Next thing we know, we hear a car behind us and proceed to slow down to match our pace. We see the windows rolled down, which revealed the guy we had just seen a few minutes earlier, with who we presumed to be two of his friends. One of which was a man who was probably the same age as the guy, and a woman in the back seat who had to have been in her mid-30s. The guy tells us that we got off on the wrong foot and asked us once again to join them at the party. My friend and I look at each other, and I whisper to him that we needed to get away from them. My friend tells them that we're not going with them and to just leave us alone already. The guy was silent for a few seconds and says, "You're coming with us, one way or another." They pull over and quickly get out of the car, which caused my friend and I to immediately go into flight mode. We turned right on a side block, and my friend yelled, "Run to the park. We'll lose them in there." We looked behind us, and to our horror, the three people were running right for us. We run into the park, and we once again look behind us. They're getting closer. We run into the dark, thick patch of trees that covered a good portion of the west side of the park, hoping to evade them. I was panicking at this point because I didn't see a damn thing, and I was worried that my friend and I would trip over something and get captured by one of those sick freaks who wanted to do who knows what with us. We hear one of them trip and fall behind us, yelling, "Fuck!" And luckily we see light again. We made it to another path in the park, and we made a left onto that path. We heard yelling behind us, and one of the guys said that they lost us. The woman yells to split up and search around the park for us. We bolt towards the bathrooms, which thankfully were open, and we hide inside. We took a minute to catch our breath, as our lungs were practically burning at that point. We should have called the cops and just hid until they got there, but at the time we were so focused on getting the hell away from those crazy people that we decided to try and make our way to the nearest exit out of the park and run to my house. We waited for about 2 minutes, and we bolted out of the bathroom and towards the park exit. Shortly before we exited the park, we heard one of the guys yell behind us that he found us, and we were getting away. We looked behind us to see the guy in the distance, starting to chase after us. We ran until we reached my house, and I quickly opened the door. We ran inside. I quickly locked it. We went into my living room and collapsed on the couch. We both sat there silently, trying to regain our energy and calm down after what had happened, hoping they didn't see where we ran to. I looked out the window several times over the course of 10 minutes, and thankfully, they never showed up again. We talked about it, and we are glad that we both are okay, and that nothing bad happened to us. We were trying to figure out what they wanted with us. Did they want to kill us, rob us, have sex with us? God only knows. My friend hung around for another half hour before he insisted on heading home. He left, and then I went to bed. I kept thinking about what had happened and pondered on what could have happened if they caught me. Even as I'm typing this, I still have those thoughts. I eventually fell asleep, and I woke up, told my parents what had happened. They were thankful that my friend and I were okay, but were upset with us that we chose to walk home and should have accepted the lift from my other friend, or even called them and they would have picked us up. Regardless, we filed a police report. I gave them all the information that I could. Unfortunately, we never heard anything about it again. And I wonder sometimes what they've been doing ever since. I really hope they never harmed another person after that. I can't express enough how thankful I am that we managed to get away from those freaks. And to this day, this incident is still the scariest thing that has ever happened to me in my life. This incident definitely made me more weary of my surroundings, and I try my best to avoid situations where I need to walk late at night, whether by myself or not. I don't know what could have happened had those people got their hands on me. But I do know one thing. I never want to meet those people ever again. First off, you need to know that I live in a poor Eastern European country. In a big city, but in a very bad neighborhood. At least that's what I've been told. I've never actually encountered any creepy individuals that would want to do me any harm. Just your usual vandals and troublemakers. Never anyone serious. I'm also still a teenager and live with my parents, but growing up in this environment, I consider myself to be quite a street smart. A feature that has helped me whenever I was in trouble. It turned out to be very useful today. At about 3 p.m., my dad left for ping pong practice, and I knew that he'd be back around 8 p.m. And coincidentally, my older brother and mom left to help one of my friends clean up the place after a New Year's party. I should have come along, but today I felt a bit sick, and I decided I should stay in. In reality, I was just very hungover, but my mom doesn't know that. That was probably the luckiest that I've ever been. You'll find out why in a minute. So all of my family leaves except for me. Naturally, I've been home alone before, so that doesn't really make me uneasy at all. The evening goes just like any other. I'm rewatching some episodes of Skin, when suddenly I feel the urge to get a snack. Just behind my apartment complex, there is a very well-known supermarket, on which I can always rely on whether I'm in deep need of a snack. So that is like a 5-minute walk. I put on my coat and some flip-flops, and I'm out. It's freezing balls outside, and I could see the bright lights of the supermarket in the distance. But something was off. In front of the automatic doors, there was a small, robust figure. As I got closer, I could distinguish his face. It was this man whose face I've seen before. I remember him countless times roaming around our block of flats, but never actually thought anything about it. He was dressed poorly and was staying in front of the doors as if he was guarding them. I asked if the supermarket was still open. He pointed at a paper which clipped near the schedule. It was said that it was closed at 6 p.m. due to the holiday season. It was now 6:20 p.m. I let out a sigh and wanted to turn around to go home, but he told me in an alarmed voice that there was a very close boutique near the supermarket. I told him that I didn't need anything important and that I should come back tomorrow, but he kept on insisting and saying that it's a 2-minute walk from there, all the while staring me in a weird manner. That was the first red flag, but I found a logical explanation in my mind, thinking that maybe the man was just very eager to help me. Maybe so that I'd give him some money. That sort of made sense in my mind, but I was still on alert. So I walked to the boutique, took whatever I could find fastest, and then paid, wished the shop owner a happy new year, and left in a hurry. As time passed, I was getting more and more nervous for some reason. I guess it was just my gut telling me that something was off. What really made me switch was the fact that I had been gone for about 5 minutes, and as I was passing the supermarket, the guy who was usually roaming the area was nowhere to be seen. At that point, I started jogging towards my apartment, all the while trying to calm myself and imagining plausible explanations as to why the guy was not there anymore. I got to the bottom of the stairs of the front door, and in the distance, I'm kind of short-sighted, I noticed a tall, dark figure entering the elevator at the same time, almost planned. The automatic light switched off. I desperately ran towards the interphone and clumsily got my keys out to open the door. As I ran to the elevator, I was still running. I live on the 7th floor. I could see it up to the 3rd, and then the 4th, then the 5th. It then suddenly stopped. I let out a big sigh of relief, but was still skeptical, so I took the stairs. As I was walking up the stairs, almost laughing, I noticed that above me, the light on the 6th floor was turned on. That was a bit curious, but I kept on walking. Suddenly, I saw the light on the 7th floor turn on, and I stopped, looked above, and hoped that whoever it was would just go to the 8th. A minute passed, which felt like hours, and the light on the 7th floor was still on. I decided to take action, so I ran all the way up to my floor and saw something that almost made me pass out. The tall, dark figure was kneeling at my doorknob, trying to what I presumed to be unlock my door. In these kind of situations, I rarely get angry. I just want whatever is going on to stop. So, from afar, I shout a very weak, "Hey!" And the guy, in an instant, turns around and stands up. I see him for a split second, and he looks fucking terrifying. Long black trench coat, a hat, leather gloves. He smiled at me and revealed his yellow, unkept teeth. He smiles at me. Do you know that stomach-turning feeling when you stumble upon something that is so scarily out of this world and wrong that you can't just look, but you want to? That was that, amplified by like 1,000. I was shitting my pants, and to my surprise, the man took off running. Before he reached the stairs, he mumbled a sorry and got away. I was still in shock and couldn't follow him or call the police, or even move for that matter. I easily got to the door of my apartment and noticed the pin was still stuck in there. Yep, he was definitely trying to get into my house. Who knows what he wanted to do? My parents won't be back for about 2 more hours, and I'm not sure if I should tell them or even call the cops. Thinking in retrospect, I think this tall man and the man in front of the supermarket may have conducted a plan. It would have been all too convenient for him to catch me off guard like that. Either way, that's a scary thought. One thing is for certain, I will be keeping a bat in my room from now on. So much for New Year's resolutions. So, tall dark man that wanted to enter my home uninvited, let's not meet again. Edit. I've called my parents first, and while they were away, they said that they would get home ASAP, and told me that I should call the cops right after they hang up. They told me to make sure that all the doors were locked, and also that they'd call a neighbor from the 2nd floor, a very nice old lady, to keep me company until the police arrives. I've talked to the officer and explained the situation. Also showed him the lockpick, and he took it as evidence. I also gave a detailed description of the man from the supermarket, and I tried to describe the lockpicker himself, but that was still in a blur. He said that he'll leave some of his men to patrol the area. I was lucky that he was very nice about it. Police here usually aren't. Last night was New Year's Eve. My husband, myself, and two other couples went out to a strip bar for the night. We all got completely shit-faced. We were drinking and smoking throughout the night. Right after midnight, I stopped drinking because I didn't want to be hungover, but kept on smoking. This is relevant later on in the story. So it's finally 2 a.m. I walk outside and realize that the person who had got the Uber was not only shit-faced, but his phone was dead as well. He had put the Uber app on his phone just for this occasion, so we were left to all figure it out. We are from somewhere that doesn't have Uber, so it's all new to us. Anyways, it's cold outside. The drunkest one of us all is the one trying to get the Uber on her phone. And at this point, it's very dark, and there's not a soul in sight. A guy comes up to our group, asks us if we have a cigarette. We all say no, and he starts talking to the guys in our group. He has a big smile on his face and crazy eyes. He starts trying to joke around about fucking one of us, or something like that, and my husband finally tells him he needs to walk away. My husband is extremely confrontational, especially when he's drunk, but at this point, he doesn't think too much about the creeper, just wants him to leave. About 3 minutes later, the guy comes back up to us and asks if we have a cigarette, like it's the first time he's seeing us. I was extremely high and started to realize just how weird this guy is being. My husband tells him to leave, and he starts getting an attitude with us. He walks away, but I start watching him, and he just turns the corner from the building we are standing at and stops to stare at us. I try to tell everyone in my group that we need to just start walking and get away from this guy, but no one is paying attention to me. Everyone is belligerent. I was extremely high, so I thought I was the only one paying attention, and it was making me even more scared. At one point, my friend's husband says he thought he had an Uber, but he was just pressing random buttons the entire time. That's how bad we were. Homeboy shows up again, asking for a cigarette, and my husband loses it, tries to fight him. We are all telling him to step down, and it's not worth it. I see Crazy Eyes run around the corner again, and I'm so paranoid, I'm begging everyone to just call the police. Everyone is blowing the whole situation off, but I was convinced that he was planning on something. All of a sudden, Crazy Eyes screams, "You're under arrest," and comes around charging at us with his right hand in his pocket and his left hand covering whatever he's holding, making it look like he had a gun. He had the scariest look on his face, and I just knew he was there now to come and shoot us. He shouts at us the whole time while walking towards us. And when he gets up close, he pulls his phone out and says, "Haha, just kidding." But he wasn't smiling. He was saying he was kidding with a pissed off rage face. My husband and my friend freak out on him, and my other friend is screaming at him, trying to get them to back away. Somehow the drunkest of all of us finally says that an Uber is 3 minutes away, and she shows up super fast. The longest 3 minutes of my life. If he was drunk, it wouldn't have been such a big deal. But there is a whole new level of fear when you know you are dealing with someone who is just not mentally stable and unpredictable. So Crazy Eyes terrorizing people who are too drunk to function. Fuck off. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.